We're speaking today with Mr. Taleb Rifai, Secretary General of the UN World Tourism Organization. Thank you for receiving us.
Thank you for being here.
And we're looking ahead to the G20 meeting in Turkey in November. And prior to that, there will be a meeting of the T20 in September, the tourism ministers from all of the major economies around the world. What are the main issues that you would like to see on the agenda and emphasize during the meeting of the T20?
The T20 term came to birth 5 years ago, when South Africa hosted the first so-called T20 meeting, which is basically the tourism ministers of the G20 countries. And since then, we have been meeting in the countries where they have the presidency of the G20 at that time. We're rather independent from the G20 mechanism, but we go parallel to them and we try to associate ourselves to them. The topic of the meetings is usually chosen by, and we discuss it with the host country, but it's chosen by the host country. This year in Turkey, we're going to be talking about jobs and employment in tourism. That's the area that the host country, Turkey, in this year wants to emphasize and wants to highlight. And we're working with our sister organization, the ILO, the International Labour Organization, to produce a report on how can we maximize the employment potentials of tourism worldwide, but particularly in the G20 countries.
And in your studies, you've actually made a relationship between visa issuance and employment, isn't that right?
Absolutely. Visa issue and everything else. Not just the visa issue. We call it, for a broader understanding, we'd call it travel facilitation. And we made a study on the G20 economies that we presented in Los Cabos in Mexico that proved that with minor modifications on the visa regimes of many of the G20 economies, as minor sometimes as just improve your website, please, make it a bit more friendly, make people apply more electronically, improve your friendliness factor, if I can call it this way. You can add in 2 years 5.1 million new jobs in these economies. 210 billion additional US dollars would be added.
Turkey is one example of tremendous growth in tourism. Are there things that Turkey has done that can be extrapolated to other countries, that other countries can use as an example in promoting their own tourism industries?
Absolutely. Turkey is without doubt a modern-day success story, a 21st century success story, if I may say. Just think about this. In the year 2000, at the dawn of this century, there were 10 million international tourists coming to Turkey from all over the world. Today, in 2014, less than 15 years after that, there's 41 million. So more than 4 times double, four folds. This is a tremendous success story, let alone the income. Over 30 billion US dollars is the income from tourism. Now, why is Turkey so successful, and what can people learn from that? It's not because they have more beautiful beaches or more beautiful landscape or better cuisine. Every country in the world can claim that. Our firm belief is that it's the political will, the belief in the industry that makes the highest level of political hierarchy pay attention and raise the level of interest in the tourism industry to a national level.
An issue that's of great concern to governments right now is obviously security in Tunisia, which is a major tourist destination for European visitors. There was a terrorist attack which was directed at tourists. How do you deal with this phenomenon? What are you advising governments, and what are you advising individual tourists about?
I was in Tunisia. I joined the march that contained many world leaders and many supporters. There were hundreds of thousands of people marching in the streets to make sure that the message goes out from Tunisia to tell those forces of darkness, if I may call them so, that no, we will not surrender. And yes, people will continue to visit Tunisia, and this is our message to everybody. Don't let them defeat you by stopping you from traveling to places like this. Now, security is a major concern, not just to the security apparatus and to the livelihood of people, but also to tourism. Tourism can never flourish if a country is unstable or insecure. But on the other hand, we also try to attract attention that when there is more income generated from tourism, when there are more jobs, when there is more prosperity, that by itself eliminates so many of the reasons why some of this insecurity appears in the first place.
What would be your essential message to the leaders that are going to gather at the G20 in Turkey this year?
From the year 2011 until today, I have embarked with our partners in WTTC, the World Travel and Tourism Council, on a program called Open Letter to World Leaders. We met 72 presidents and prime ministers, heads of states and heads of governments, and the message was the same. Please, open your eyes and see how important tourism is in people's life. It's a tremendously horizontal sector. And that's exactly the kind of message that I would like the leaders at the G20 in Turkey to listen to. Please take it serious. The more you give to it, the more you take out of it.